in months back, we use variables to pass from like a sub-report to main report or from one formula to another. And I just wanted to show you a different way of using variables. So what we're going to do today is get the presentation started here. We're going to examine a formula for repetitive fields or repetitive functions. And when you have that over and over and over again in a formula, you can create a variable for that to clean it up to make it easier to read and probably easier to follow. And let's go ahead and well, okay, let me do I forgot to do the what I say, 5-second commercial, or I say usually 20-second. We'll make it as quick as we can here. We do customized reports. We do training using data, or using your data. In fact, when we do the training, we'll build the reports in the training class using your data, so it makes it faster and quicker and more understandable, if that's possible. Is that a word, more understandable? You can contact myself or Tom Zidell. Here's our phone numbers and email addresses. And I'll put this back on here in just a little bit so you can look at it again. And down below, we have the webinar archive site. So if you ever want to check any of the webinars that we had in the past. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to exit out of this. And I'm going to go to a formula I've got going here. Let me save and close this to show you kind of where we're at. I'm looking at this is an operating statement. And we're looking at the actual current month. So I'm going to go in here, and it's hitting the store procedure. I'm going to open this up, and here's the formula. Now, this formula, what it's doing is it's a report that's being scheduled to run. There's not any parameters. You don't want a parameter on this. So what's happening in this report? It's looking at if the month of the current date equals 1, and then it's going to look at the physical year up here of the store procedure, which is a string. And then if it's 1, it's going to take the physical year, compare it to the year of the current date, minus 1, which means last year, and it's going to give us period 11. So like today, if today was January in 2012, but actually will get period 11 in 2011. So they're actually looking at this like 2 months in the rear. So the thing is that I'm looking at month of current date, which is repeat itself 12 times. And then I have physical year, which is a string. So I'm having to convert it to a number here, so I'm having to do that 12 times. And then over here, I'm taking the current date in the first 2 lines of -1, so I could actually make that a previous year function or a variable. So let's go ahead and start kind of cleaning this up a little bit. Now, first of all, I don't suggest that you go to your formulas in any of your reports and look to see if any of them are kind of hairy like this and change it. What I am saying is that when you go to write a formula in the future and you start getting repetitive fields like this or functions, that you turn into a variable. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and most likely when I would do this, I would use a local variable so it's not passed out of this formula somewhere else. But I'm going to go ahead and make these global so I can actually put them in a different report or in a different formula. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to declare this thing global. Now if I don't declare it a scope at all, and over here, if I go and open this up, this will have the scopes. If I don't declare a scope at all, default's going to be global. So I'm going to hit global here. Don't have to, but global. It is a number, so it's number of R, number of R. And I'm going to call this one, this is called current, month of current date. I'm going to call this one, I'm going to assign it MTH. It's going to be the name of the variable. And I'm going to do the colon equals, which is assign the value, and I'm just going to grab this little month of current date here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put a print on the first line and paste it. And then after anytime you have a variable, you want to end it with a semicolon so that Crystal knows that it's ready to go to the next line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replace this month of current date with MTH. So I'm going to go up here and hopefully you'll see something new. I'm going to do the binoculars, so I'm searching for something, and I'm going to change. I'm going to find what? I'm going to paste this in here. I'm going to paste current month. I know this is going to disappear, but it's okay. I'll replace it. I want to replace it with MTH, our variable. So when I replace all, it's going to say 13 places because it also changed it up here as well, which I didn't want to do, but that's okay. So I'm going to go back up here, and we're going to change this back to our function. And I didn't mean to have that in between there. So let's get Create a little extra work there, didn't mean to. So now we have MTH as our month instead of the current month equals. Now I'm doing the same thing for fiscal year. Notice how the fiscal year here, if I were to right-click on fiscal year and browse the data, it's going to tell me that it's a string. Oops, I can't do that. I don't want to log on to the system now. I just want to keep inside here. It'd tell me it's a string. So what I'm going to do is I've gone to each line here and convert it to a number. I'm going to grab this. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go down my next line, do the same thing. So global if it's not blue, it's not true. Make sure it's number of R. I'm going to call this one, this is called FY fiscal year. So FY fiscal year, we're going to assign it the value, what we just copied there. But before we do that, let me go ahead and do this instead. I'm going to paste it inside here to find what. And I'm going to change this to FY. So let's replace all. I did the exact same thing here as I did a while ago, and I didn't mean to do that. You know, when you practice this stuff on your own, it works perfectly. And then when you go live, sometimes it just doesn't do what you want to do. But that's okay. We're replacing that, and let me put the space in there. All right, and let me paste this up here. So I'm only having to declare this. This is a string. Fiscal year is a string. I'm converting it to a number up here. I only have to declare it the one time. So now when I go down to the FY, it's actually going to be this fiscal year turned into a number. Now the third thing, notice up here the first two lines, we're saying where it's current year minus 1. And then at the other line, month 3 into 12, it's actually current year. So what I could actually do if I wanted to, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. Why not go ahead and do it here? Because we're going to turn this to a formula versus just a calculation here, is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do global number of R, and if I could spell it right, it would turn blue. We're going to call this PY for previous year, assign that the value, and we're going to grab this current date minus 1. And I wouldn't plan on doing it that way, but and then let's do global number of R, or and I do it every time, number of R, and let's call this some YR just for year. And we're going to assign the value without the minus 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell it to go ahead and take the current year. Well, let's do this. I'll let it change all of them, and I'll go and change the last two to previous. So I'm going to paste that in there, and we'll call it YR, and I'll change the first two. All right. I can leave this really at YR minus 1, which do the exact same thing, but I'm going to go ahead and change this to be previous year. So PY and PY. So I'm going to check the syntax. Oops, oh, I need to change this back, don't I? Okay. So we have our month is MTH, fiscal year is FY, previous years PY, and year is YR. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and if I look at this formula, it doesn't look anything like it did before. In fact, if I go through this, it's like, oh, so if month equals 1, then fiscal year equals the previous year, and then give me the accounting period 11 inside there. So it's changed up a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what we have up here. I'm going to pass this. In fact, let me save this. Let me check syntax, make sure it's all working there. Okay, what's not working? Okay, down here. Check the syntax again. No errors found. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy what I have right here. And I'm going to use it in different formulas. So I'm going to copy this. I want to save it. And then I'm going to go down to that was the actual, this is the budget. It's basically the same type formula. But I'm going to go in here and at the very top, paste this inside here. And then the thing is, since I've already declared these values in the other formula, I'm just going to close this out. Because I declared the value in the other formula. Oops, didn't mean to do that too much. Control Z, Control Z. So let me go ahead and clean these up just a little bit. So I'm going to save this. Let me check syntax. I'm going to save it. So what's happening, I'm going to go back to the formula, which is our current actuals. Yes, I want to save that. And then I'll look up here. I've already declared the month to be the current month, the current date, fiscal year. The previous year is the current year minus 1, and year is current, or year the current date. So I'm going to go back to the formula as we have here. And then I can start switching these out. I want to change a YR to, or current date year to YR, so I'm going to replace all those, just like we did before. In fact, we'll come back and change it. Then we're going to take, let's take current month here. Let me copy that, and we're going to change this up. Now, I guess the question would be, now would you really use it that way? Now, I really would. I wouldn't use the variables in another formula to pass to this one just because the exact same thing I can, but I really would change the formulation to be cleaner like this. Okay, let's change this out as well. Now I'm doing this remotely, I mean not remotely, a virtual machine, so I can't see any questions right now, and I'm going to look at the questions in just a minute if you have any. Let's replace all of those, and that's done. And the first two, instead of being the year minus 1, which will actually work, we're going to put in the PY, the previous year. So let me check the syntax. I need to get rid of all of those. And how that happened was when I copied it. Oops, undo, undo, undo. That's what I love about live demos, is that it never works like you want it to. Okay, I'm going to save and close. Let me open that back up. Here we go. So there's our formulas. Let me save and close that. All right, now let me see if anybody has any questions. Let me go back to the main screen there. And I'll see any questions. That's my dog in the background. They're never here, and the one time that they're here, they decide they want to bark. So if I have any questions, I'm going to be here probably about another 5-10 minutes if you have any questions. So I'll keep looking for those. And while you're looking on, I'll just go back and recap what we did. We went in and we looked for a formula that would repeat itself, and we're noticed that the month of current date repeat itself, so we replaced it with the variable called MTH. We looked at the fiscal year, which was a string. We had to convert it to a number. And then we called that variable FY, and we placed it in the formula here. And also we did the year, the current date. We called that variable YR. We placed it, as you see, through here. And then the very first two lines for month 1 and month 2, we did previous year. And so what we did year, the current year, minus 1. So, and the thing is that now I can use MTH, FY, PY, the YR, and any other formula that I would need to have the current month, which would be kind of nice if you do parameters. You can say the parameter equals the current month. So since I did declare these global, I can use these variables. And to me, a variable is just like if you had a calculator, you had the memory key. You just recall that memory key. So you guys have a great weekend, and let me look for questions. I've got a question here. I'm actually using, this is 2008. So the question was, I don't see a find and replace, because I know sometimes what will happen is it pops up, it's going to be on like the field tree or on all formulas, it doesn't show up. But if I go to the edit text, I can do the find and replace with. So just check to find your edit text, that may be what the issue is. Let's see, any more questions? I wish you could see my screen. I've got a regular size screen, but the questions are very small. Why on the number of order did you not use? Okay, on the two reasons. On the first formula we had, these are our actuals, and so I assigned it a value up here. So in this formula, this current actuals, the month, the fiscal year, the previous year, all are assigned here. Now, when I go to the budget, and I'm just bringing the MTH and all this value here, the reason I'm doing that is because I actually assigned it the value in the other formula. So I'm passing the value from that formula to this formula. If I were to go in and make month equals something else, it would actually change the value of this MTH. And that's one reason I go in and I usually make these local, so I'm not passing it out there. So if I happen to use the same variable name in a different formula, it's not going to matter because I declare them local, and so that way they won't override each other. So in the budget, I'm just grabbing the value from a different formula. In the actual, I actually declared the values here and passed it to the other formula. I hope that answered your question. Let me see if we have another one. On the year of the actual, did you not, let's see, I'm trying, on the year of the act, I guess I'm going to understand it. Oh, on the year of the actual not signed. Let me go look. Oh, I didn't, did I? Thank you. Thank you, sir. I wasn't paying attention. And this other thing is, if I would have ran it, it would came up as a blank because there's no year there. So thank you for fixing that for me. I appreciate it. All right, you guys have a good week. Any more questions there? I don't see any. Hope this was helpful. Next week, I know a lot are going to be in spring break, some are on spring this week. In the past, I went and I showed you how to do green bar effect where every other line was green, white. I showed you how to do that on the detail record or the record line. Now, some of you had asked that you tried to do it on the group line, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Well, next week I want to show you why and how it works. If you're going to use it on the group line, you basically have to use a running total. So we're going to look at that next week, and you guys have a good week, and we'll talk to you later.